Hey everybody, we're going to do our week 4 spelling words now. Most of the words here are pretty simple for us because they follow a lot of the rules we've already talked about. But there's one sound that we haven't really discussed, and that's the sound A when it's at the end of a word with no consonant behind it, like in the words day, play, say. And the way we make that sound is with AY. So think about your days of the week. Monday, Tuesday, they all have A at the end, and they're spelled with that AY because there's no consonant behind it for us to be able to do our magic E. So keep that in mind when you're doing your words this week. We have 2 that are going to have the AY, and we have 1 that's going to have our magic E for the A sound. So pay attention to them while we're doing them today. So get a piece of paper, something you can write with, and let's practice our spelling words together. We're going to go in order that I have them on the sheet today, okay? So let's do the first one. Let's do fade. Now it has the A sound in it, but we hear the sound D after it. So it should be pretty easy for us to sound out. So let's think about how many sounds it has. A, D. There's 3 sounds, so let's figure out how to write those sounds. So our first one is A, D. Now, if you did it like this, you wrote the word fad. How do we make the A say its name? We have to have the magic E at the end. So now we have the word fade. All right, let's go to the second word. Our second word is knocked, okay? Now we have to go back and think about a couple different rules for this one. We're going to start with the sound that we talked about last week. We have that hidden K in there that's there but doesn't really make any noise. So that's how we start this word. A, k, t. Let's count it again. A, k, t. It's kind of tricky. So let's start with the sound. Our sound is going to be our KN. Ah. That's a simple one. We know that's our short O sound. And then we have K. So let's think about our K rules. If K comes after a short vowel sound, what do we use? We use our CK. CK always comes after a short vowel sound. Okay, guys? Now, it's knocked. We hear the T sound at the end. But if we think about this word, it's a word in the past tense. So what do we add to a word when we put it in the past? We add our ED, and sometimes that ED makes the sound T. So in this case, it makes the sound T because we don't have our voice on for the K. So this is how it should be. You have A, K, T. So that one, you have to think about 3 or 4 different rules to spell. So that one may be a little tricky, but the more you practice it, the easier it'll get. Let's move on to knitting, okay? Knitting is also going to have that hidden K sound at the beginning. It, ing. So let's think about that. We said it's going to be the K in. It. Now that's our root word, knit. But we're putting an ing on it because we're making it a verb that's in the present. So let's think about that. Look at your last 2 letters. What do you see? You see a short vowel, I, and the consonant t. So what do we have to do before we add our ing? It's our doubling rule. So we have to add another T, then we can add the ing. So it looks like this. It, ing. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's do drinking. Sound it out. D, ing, k, ing. We have 6 sounds in this word. So let's think about the first few. D, Those are pretty simple. We're going to have our D and our I. E. That one's a little tricky. Sometimes when we have an I and an N together, that I-N is going to almost sound like the ing sound. So it's ink this time. So if ing is ing, how are we going to make the ink sound? It's going to be I-N-K. So there's drink. Okay? But we're putting it as a present tense verb and we're adding our ing. So let's look at our last 2 letters. We have an N and a K. Those are both consonants, so do I need to double anything? I don't need to double anything because I have no short vowels. So now I'm going to add my ing, and now I have drinking. Okay? Let's move on to wrapper. Wrapper. Okay, so we have a root word, wrap, and then we have an ending er. So let's think about wrap. There's a couple ways we can make the sound at the beginning of a word. We can use our R, but what's another way we can make the sound at the beginning of a word? Like in the word right. It's a WR, and that's what we're going to use for rapper, okay? So R, A, P, We have 4 sounds, and we know the R sound is going to be WR, okay? A. Easy, easy. That's a short A. P. There's your P. And there's our root word, rap. Now we have to add our ending So let's look at our last 2 letters before we add an ending to our root word. And we have a short A, because it says A, and a P for P. So since we have a short A and then a consonant, P, what do we have to do before we add an ending? We have to think about our doubling rule. So we have to double the P, add another P, and then you can add your And how do we make the sound? It's going to be E-R. So that's how we have rapper. All right, let's move on to hands. Simple word. A-N-D-S. 5 letters, 5 sounds. So let's sound it out and write each sound as we hear it. A-N-D-S. Hands. There you go. Easy peasy. Now we're going to do the word pitch. P-I-Ch. We know it has 3 sounds. So let's do our first 2 sounds because those are pretty simple. P-I. We're going to have a P and an I. And let's think about the different ways we can make the sound ch. We can do a CH, or our more tricky one is the TCH. And this word is going to follow the TCH rule. Again, there's really no rhyme or reason to when we use CH or TCH. It's just one of those sounds that we just have to know when we write the words. So you just have to know that this one has the TCH. So when I write this word, I think in my head, pitch, pitch. And it helps me remember to do the TCH because it has pitch. All right, our next one is going to be our tricky word, by. Like I like to go sit by my friends. So that one is 2 sounds, B-I. So how do we spell that one? That's our tricky one. It's just going to be B-Y. All right, now we're going to go to our last 2 words, and they're going to follow the sound that I talked about at the beginning of this video. They have the A sound at the end, but there's no consonant behind it. So remember, when you have a long A at the end of a word with no consonant behind it, it's going to be spelled with our A-Y. So that's what we're going to do for the first word, day, D-A. It's 2 sounds, D-A, and there's no consonant behind the A sound. So we're going to write it, D with a D, and then our A sound is going to be A-Y. And then our last word for this week is play. I want you to think and follow the same rule for play. P-O-A. A is our last sound with nothing behind it, so it's going to be spelled with our A-Y. So write it as I sound it out for you. P-O-A. So you should have written play. All right, guys, practice these words every week. At the end of the week, have Mom and Dad give you a spelling test. Send it to me. Let me see how you're doing, okay?